On this episode of Small Town Gen X.
But then there'd be others where then, if it was really dramatic, then the main actor or actress would break character at the end and say, if you or someone you know is experiencing this issue, please call 1-800-something or
Sure.
for more information, write to P.O. Box something, because we didn't have no
You
internet.
could go to a website.
No.
Yeah.
Couldn't text it.
No, you would have to do, and it always was a P.O. box. Hello? Oh, do I have a story for you? Oh, do tell. Welcome to the podcast Small Town Gen X. I'm Kate DeCoste,
And I'm Launa Larson.
and we have a special guest in studio,
Yes, we do.
my brother. Would you like to introduce yourself, brother?
Hello, everybody. I'm Kirk. This is my first time.
Well, welcome.
Yes, welcome.
First timer. Podcast first timer. So Kirk has been listening to all of our podcasts, and he likes to tell me things if we're asking questions about things.
Oh,
He'll know the
answers.
or if we might be say something maybe that's not totally correct.
He'll correct it.
Yeah,
Okay,
he
good.
corrects.
Good.
Corrects.
Good.
Yes.
Are we ever wrong though?
I can't remember if we were like wrong. Like I don't know if it was just stuff we questioned, maybe, or if there was something that you told me if that was wrong. I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I would
which.
say we're never wrong.
I know, but
so.
when you're saying it, I'll be working away and go, nope, that's not it. It's something else.
So hopefully you don't do that very often.
Yeah.
No.
And say I know that some of our other friends that know stories, they will tell us too that there are they'll be answering our
Right.
questions or stuff. Jenny, who's been on the podcast, she is always texting us and being like, "I'm listening to the podcast," and
Yeah. I'm driving on my way home and I'm listening.
yeah. So we were talking about how Kirk should be on here because I think it was maybe our last episode or maybe the episode before, and he was talking about something that we didn't know about.
Okay.
I can't, and again, I'm drawing a blank on our conversation, and I was like, I think you should be on the podcast. And then I think I sent a text to you saying, Kirk should probably be on the podcast. He might know some stuff we don't remember.
We don't know. Yeah.
And so here we are. And one of the things we were talking about, that Kirk and I were talking about, he was mentioning, and I don't remember this at all. Do you remember when they put signs in the windows to like let kids know like there's a mom home? So if you're scared, if you feel unsafe,
No.
like say if you're walking home from school and you feel
Right.
unsafe, you know there's someone
That's a
there.
safe
It's a
house
safe
or-
house.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Did your sister ever
I was
talk
gonna
about that?
say, I don't think I walked home from school though.
back
Back
then? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I got picked up every day.
Okay.
So, and she would have too.
Right.
But yeah.
So they make her walk home and
Yeah.
you get picked up.
You get to walk.
Yeah.
And Lana gets to get a ride. Find a safe house.
Right. Good luck.
If you're not home in an hour, we'll come look for you.
So since we were 6 years apart, Kirk and I were 6 years apart, there's a lot of things that I don't remember.
Right.
Did you walk home a lot from
Yes.
school? Okay.
Yes.
So did mom or dad would take you in the
So,
morning?
Yeah, mom would mom would take me to school, and then probably up until probably I was 10 or 11, I would usually walk to the courthouse where our
Oh.
grandma worked, and I
Yes.
would just stay there until either mom would then pick me up from work, or if she was going to get off late, then I would just go home with grandma, and then mom would pick me up
Yeah.
Right.
at grandma's house.
Gotcha.
But once I was about 10 and it was deemed that, that time you could be home alone for the hour and a half or whatever.
Okay. Okay.
uh, and at that time, you had John Jubert, who had kidnapped a couple boys and murdered them. And so parents around town decided that they would put signs in the front yard of their house in the window, and I think it said "Mom Home" or "Safe House" or something, and you knew then if you were scared or if you thought somebody was following you, you could go to that house.
Okay.
And so when that first happened, Mom and Dad drove me and said, "This is the route you have to take,"
Okay.
because that was going up Locust Street to 10th Street. You were kind of on your own. But then my old babysitter had said, if he was scared, I could go there. Then all the way down to 12th and Hackberry, Mom was home and she had a sign. So
Okay.
so you kind of knew, and maybe it was also so that if you were being followed, the person would know, oh, there's a safe house, they'll probably go there.
Right.
Right.
Or a lot of times we would walk with my friend TJ,
Oh, sure.
and so then we also knew his parents were home at that time.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
So if you
And-
needed to go there.
And so then it was always then right around that time was encouraged that you walk together.
With someone.
A buddy.
Yes.
Buddy system.
buddy
Buddy
system.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to John Jubert he was an American serial killer, and he was executed in Nebraska July 17th, 1996, and he was convicted of murdering 3 boys, 1 in Maine and then 2 here in Nebraska. And I believe they were more in the Omaha area. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. The
But-
person here that's read books about it.
I have read. I've watched a show too.
So you might know a little more about that. So when that was happening, before you knew it was John Jubert, this is when when kids were being kidnapped, murdered, that's when those safe houses were happening.
Yes.
Okay. Did they stay going even after he was
I would say
found?
probably maybe for about a year or so, and then it kind of just dwindled
Right.
down
Okay.
because it, I think it was, a reaction, and
Right.
then the threat was kind of over, and so
And you didn't hear about anybody
No.
else
Right.
that
There's not
happening.
Any, kidnappings or anything.
Right. So were you ever scared? Did you ever feel like, having to have mom and dad tell you, okay, this is the route you have to take, and if you feel unsafe, are these houses you go to? Did you ever feel scared of I'd be like, why don't you people pick me up?
Right. If you really love your kids, you would pick them up.
I mean, I get that they had to work, but I'm like, or did you feel unsafe?
I never felt unsafe.
Do you
and
think maybe mom and dad really didn't feel like there was going to be a threat, but just in case?
I think it was just in case, because then, the minute I got home, the first thing I had to do was call mom at the shop and say, I'm home.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But if I wanted to, it's like I could have walked either to the courthouse, I could have walked downtown to mom's shop,
Right.
I could have walked to grandma and grandpa's house because grandpa would have been home before he started his shift on the police department.
Right.
Could have went to the phone company because Aunt Peg was there. So I was never felt unsafe.
Sure.
Right, yeah.
Right. Though I think I would have been totally
I would have
freaked out.
I would have.
I would have been like, no thanks. You're gonna have to pick me
Yeah,
up.
that's what I
You
would
have to arrange for a
arrange
chauffeur.
pickup. Yes.
And what's funny is there was no bus service on that side of town. So I
Oh.
couldn't ride the bus to somewhere. It was only because they didn't want kids crossing the highway. So you had a stop off
Oh.
at Civic Center. And then there was one like at 12th and probably Broadway, kind of right across the highway.
Okay.
So, but it was like,
So it was for kids not to
cross the
cross the
highway
highway, but since
from westward. But since
we
were,
lived on that side,
Yeah.
so you could have ridden the bus if
Yeah,
needed
if
to,
I need- yeah.
or your sister. When did that change? Do you
I
remember?
don't
Because I remember riding
remember.
the bus in middle school. I don't ever remember riding the bus in grade
Grade school. I don't remember riding the bus in grade school
Yeah.
either.
Huh. Well, I know we were talking a little bit about John Joubert. The two people that know more about it than me, which, I usually know a lot of crime stuff, but this
Right.
I know. But were there any things in there that you wanted to talk about him? I remember his execution.
Right. That was the year we graduated.
It was. Yeah. Would have been the summer after we
Mhm.
graduated.
Yeah.
And I remember that being
The-
a huge deal.
Right. That was because he was like the first one. He was like the first one since how long? I mean, in a
he would
long
have been
time, wasn't he?
He would have been the second one after, because it was Starkweather, and then it was Harold Ote.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So
yes.
he was
yes.
the first one after
Ote.
after Starkweather, and then quickly, about maybe a year or so later, then they executed Joubert.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So he was caught in 83, I think the same year that all of the murders happened. Like he killed one boy in Maine, and then when he came to Nebraska, because he was in the Air Force, I believe.
It was.
Was the Air Force? It was something military.
I think he was at Offutt.
Okay, so that makes sense. It would be Omaha, or like Bellevue.
Bellevue, yeah.
And he killed both of those boys here in Nebraska, but then, I mean, people saw him, saw the car, saw all of that, so they were able to find him pretty
Pretty
quick.
Fairly
Easily.
quickly.
Yeah, so he wasn't able, I mean, I feel like, if they wouldn't have found him.
He would have done it again.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Which is kind of scary. And he was so young. Like,
Yes.
he killed the first boy in Maine. He killed when he was 19. And if he was born in 1963, and he killed his first victim here in Nebraska in 1983, so then he was only 20 years
Right.
old. Because because we knew we were going to watch or talk about this on the podcast, we watched one little segment on YouTube about it. And when they showed him in handcuffs in the courthouse, I was like, oh my God, he looks like a little boy.
He did, yes.
And they said on there that he killed, I don't know which victim it was, but he killed one of the victims, and then he went to a Boy Scout meeting. And they knew the kid had been, I think, missing, or they knew he was murdered already, or at that point when he went to this Boy Scout meeting, and they did a half staff of the flag for this boy.
Yes.
And here he's there, knowing that he did
that.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know. Crazy.
Yeah, I know that they were paper boys.
Yes. And they were on their routes.
Yep, and they were on their routes.
Because the show we watched, they said that the one boy, I think he saved his money for his bike. So they knew, when they found his bike at, say, the fourth house that he would have delivered to,
Right.
the parents were like, he never would have
Would've
left his bike.
Yeah.
Like, it was, his prize, and,
Right.
Yeah. And we saw that the first I think it was the first victim, he was found by John Colderman, the Wahoo chief.
Really?
Yeah, he was on
Was he on the Bellevue or
he was
State Patrol?
he
or
was
something?
Wahoo, but they had a bunch of, how some different towns, they'll do a search, like, and some police will go
Yes.
to help.
Yeah,
That's kind of right.
I think Omaha and them requested outside assistance from other police forces to help look for
It's
the
Danny.
boy.
It's Danny Joe, and I don't know if I'm not going to say this correctly, but it's
Eberly.
Eberly. Yeah, Danny Joe Eberly, and he was 13. And then
And he was the first one.
he was the first one, and he was on his route, his paper
Right.
route in Bellevue. And that happened on Sunday, September 18th, 1983. And then the second victim was on December 2nd, 1983, and he disappeared. His name was Christopher Walden. He was age 12 when he disappeared from Papillion, Nebraska.
Oh, okay.
And their bodies were found just like 3 miles from each other.
Oh, okay.
I
So
mean,
he
he kind of had that
area that he
yeah.
knew he was gonna drop the bodies off or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And that was probably what was more scary, is that they were kidnapped in broad daylight.
Right.
And so that's probably when parents panicked a little more, because it wasn't something at night or something. It was broad daylight.
Right. And by houses. Because if
Yes.
they were delivering newspapers, then, yeah, they would have obviously been by homes. And I guess when he was arrested and, like, you know, interrogated or whatever, questioned, when he confessed, he said that he would show them a knife, and that was kind of how he got them to get into the car.
Yeah.
So
I would yell.
I'd run.
Yeah. I'd pedal my bike fast.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder if they were on their, like, were they, like,
Off
still
their
off
bike?
their bike? You know, sometimes you have to get off
to
your bike
deliver your
yeah.
paper. Yeah.
And then it's like,
Maybe.
you know, and I don't know if did he say, like, hey, I have a question, you know, someone, you know, like, oh yeah, I can help you, and then he showed the knife and
Right.
you know, got him in the car, or if he was out of his car and came walking know, and had the knife, and so you weren't able to, like, get away.
Right.
But
Did your mom ever tell you if somebody does take you, they'll bring you right back? Because I got told that all the time. So maybe that's why I wasn't scared. I'll be like, well, he's going to bring me back anyway. Seriously?
no, I don't remember our mother telling us that.
Maybe your dad?
Maybe my dad be like, hopefully they'll keep you for a bit.
No, my mom always said, if they take you, they'll bring you back.
Oh, that's hilarious. And did you believe that?
I doubt it. I'm like, why would some killer who wants to kill me? They just kill me if I'm annoying.
Right. They'll just shut you up.
Yeah.
That way. So, Kirk, were there any other, like, things that we wouldn't remember because we were too young, like something like that where it's, you know, there's these safe houses? I mean, we remember the pictures on milk cartons and things
yes,
like
of the
that.
missing
Kids.
No, I just remember, you know, the missing children on the milk cartons.
And I know that you remember the commercials where they'd say, where are your children?
It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are at?
I don't remember that. I mean, I don't.
You don't remember that?
Nope.
I do remember that, and I remember how, like, the TV would go to...
Oh, Star Spangled Banner?
Yeah.
Or is that what it
Yeah,
yeah.
Star Spangled
And
Banner,
then
and then the...
Shut off and be static.
Yeah, and then that's when Carol Ann gets sucked in the TV.
Yeah.
Well, in the closet, I guess.
Right, but she's talking
But she's talking through the
to
TV.
them
Yes.
in the TV.
Yeah.
Except PBS. They wouldn't do the Star Spangled Banner because their last show before they signed off was like a 15-minute show on astronomy.
Oh.
And it had this
Every night?
every night.
Okay.
And it was the same guy, and he would talk for about 15 minutes and his slogan was "Keep looking up." And then after that, they would do America the Beautiful, and it would show all these animals throughout probably Nebraska. And
Okay.
then it would say, "Thank you for watching PBS. We'll see you tomorrow."
Now, because it was PBS, would it be earlier in the evening? Or was it midnight? Because wasn't it midnight for all the other
Yeah.
channels?
It was about 11:30.
Oh, okay. I was like, maybe it was, I feel like kids or old people or what watch PBS, so maybe it was earlier.
Not
I
when
don't remember
volleyball's
that.
on.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true. I don't remember that either.
I don't either.
Do you?
No. I didn't
Well,
watch
you
it.
didn't remember the. Did you remember the TV? No, you remember the TV, but
the
you don't
TV, yeah.
remember the.
Not
check for your children.
check 10 o'clock check for your kids. I don't remember that at all.
Well, right before you came, and this kind of segues a little bit because we're talking about PBS. Kirk was talking about like when sitcoms would have like very special episodes.
Oh, okay.
So we were talking about like Punky Brewster,
Mm-hmm.
and what was that one, Kirk?
That one was right after the space shuttle Challenger exploded.
Okay.
And the premise was that, the school was going to watch it because there was the Christina McAuliffe who was going to be the first teacher in space.
Right.
Okay.
And then it'd always be they would advertise it as a very special episode because with the comedy format, they were going to take a dramatic turn.
Oh.
And so they wanted to make sure a parent was with in case they needed to explain.
Okay.
But then there'd be others where then if it was really dramatic, then the main actor or actress would break character at the end and say, if you or someone you know is experiencing this issue, please call 1-800 something or
Sure.
Oh,
for
okay.
more information, write to P.O. Box something because we didn't have no
You
internet.
couldn't go to a
You-
website.
no.
Yeah.
Couldn't text it.
No, you would have to do, and it always was a PO box.
Mm-hmm.
And usually the episode, the comedy, you always had the clapping afterwards. But then
Oh,
if it
yeah.
was something, I know, like on All in the Family, when something was going on and it was a very dramatic ending and there was no clapping, and that's when you knew, ooh.
Oh. And all of these sitcoms, they were on at night.
Yes.
So parents would be, if they weren't working at night, they were probably
Right, at
home
home.
watching the very special
The
episode.
very special episodes.
With Punky Brewster. Do you remember any other ones? Like a very special episode that was dramatic? Like, I'm trying to, like, the show that came to my head was like I feel like Growing Pains would have had one. I feel like that show had,
M-
or maybe
Oh.
they had.
I think most of the comedies would
Did.
have like a very special episode where it was taking a dramatic turn. Good Times had where, and I think this was Janet Jackson when she was a young girl.
Oh,
and
sure.
one of
That's
her-
right. She was on
she was
that.
on it. Yeah.
And she was being abused by her mother, and her mother was using an hot iron.
Oh.
And then I think the Evans family adopted her. And so
then that's how she came to be on the show.
yeah. And then
Okay.
it was, if you or someone you know is experiencing
Abuse.
this abuse,
Right.
either tell your teacher, tell
Right
the
to be
police,
a-
Right.
or call
Oh yeah.
or call 1-800 help me.
Yeah. Oh my god. Or call the police.
Yes. Or yes. Well, and that makes sense to tell your teacher and all that.
Right.
But yeah, I was just thinking, are they going to tell them to write
Right.
to a PO box?
Right.
And the one that people right now they kind of laugh at
Mhm.
is the episode of Saved by the Bell when
Oh.
Jesse
Yes.
Yes. Takes the pills.
takes the
The
caffeine
caffeine
Yeah.
pills.
and originally, as written in the script, she was supposed to become addicted to speed. And,
Oh.
and
Well,
standards.
that would have
and-
been a very
that would have
special
been
episode.
And NBC wouldn't allow that, and so they had to
Oh.
change the script to caffeine pills, which now
Oh.
makes it really
Goofy.
goofy.
Well, even then it was kind
It
of
was
goofy.
Yeah.
Like, I remember it being on. And yeah, and then you still, it's always that. If anyone says, I'm so excited.
Yeah. Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, that's all you
That's
can
all
think
you think of.
is
That's
Jessie.
what I think of.
And I can still see her, like, hugging Zach and then the pills falling out of her hand.
Yeah.
And she's all like, I need to study. I need them.
She was addicted.
She was addicted to caffeine
Yeah.
pills. I mean,
just drink a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I know. And it wouldn't have been so dramatic. People would have
that probably
been like,
would have been
oh.
a thing too. Kids drinking coffee at that age
Oh,
probably
yeah.
wouldn't be able to.
Yeah. And where now they're drinking like energy drinks.
Oh, yeah.
And all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do kind of remember it wasn't really. I mean, we always drank coffee, but I remember where parents, it would be a thing where like, no, it'll stunt their growth.
Yes.
It didn't stunt growth.
Or other comedy shows where they're not so much a very special episode, but when they would kill off a character and you didn't know it was coming.
Oh.
MASH,
Yeah.
when they killed off Colonel Blake.
Oh.
And-
Oh.
Because he wanted off the show,
Okay.
and he did something, so like production people didn't like it, so they were going to make it where he could never return, so they killed him off, but they kept it from the rest of the cast. And
So he did something like the actor.
the actor did
something.
something so
Okay.
that it couldn't be, he just went
Oh.
away for a while, then he's
Okay.
coming back. And so they kept it from the cast so that when Radar came in and read off everything, they got the actual emotions from the people. But it was like,
Yeah.
you killed a main character.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And the fact that like as an actor, like not knowing and all of a sudden that's happening and you're like,
Right.
yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know that
Yeah,
they
I
would
didn't
have
know
done
either.
that.
Mm-mm.
Do you know what this guy did that the actor
No.
did?
Mm.
Oh, that'd be a juicy little story.
Have to look that one
But
To
up.
I
be
mean-
like killed off and not even know. It's not like Joey on Friends. He found out he was going to be killed off and he had to go down the elevator shaft.
Yeah.
But I think he wanted to be off the show,
Oh.
but I think maybe is because he thought he was a little bit better than he was, and so the writers were and the producers were gonna get back at him.
Oh.
And so they really killed him off by when he was flying home. His plane, because this took place in Korea.
Right.
His plane was shot down over the Sea of Japan. It spun into flames, crashed into the ocean, and no survivors. So they were like,
They
You
really
really
can't come
you
back.
can't come back
Yeah.
from that.
yeah,
No.
it wasn't a soap opera where they could come back 10
Right.
years later because they had amnesia on
Yeah.
some island.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Hmm.
Well, that was
Interesting.
yeah.
I don't watch MASH.
I don't really
So-
watch. Yeah, I only watch it if like
It was on.
it was on, and it's mainly if someone else is watching it.
right.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I guess I'm watching MASH.
Yeah.
Did this actor, because we don't watch MASH, did he do other things? Or did you
Mm.
really not see him again?
He just would pop up once in a while. Then he became like a kind of like a regular on like Hollywood Squares and,
Oh,
and the game shows.
Well, that's fun.
yeah.
I would
oh,
be
yeah,
that.
that'd be fun. Yeah.
And then he did play Stan Zbornak's brother on Golden Girls.
Oh, gotcha.
But after MASH, you really didn't.
He didn't do much.
Too much.
Uh-uh.
Didn't you say that Golden Girls had a very special episode?
They had a couple, but they would
Did they name that?
didn't
Did they
name
those?
them.
Because those weren't kid shows.
No, but
it was more kid shows that were like
A
special episode, so parents
Yes.
would know.
But the funny thing is that standards and practice would allow these old ladies to say stuff and get away with stuff that they wouldn't allow other sitcoms to get away with, where the old ladies could talk more openly about sex and
Oh.
other stuff, where they thought, oh, that's coming from old ladies. What would that hurt?
Oh,
yeah.
I see. So other like shows wouldn't get. They couldn't talk
do
about it.
that. Yeah,
I
they couldn't
got.
do
I
that.
But
got it.
you know, back in the 80s, you didn't.
Talk about that.
No.
I mean,
No.
it became when Rose said the word bitch. I mean, you didn't hear that on network
Regular
television at
TV,
that time.
yeah.
The farthest you got was like, damn it.
Oh, okay.
And that was about it.
So did they have to like say like Rose is gonna say a naughty word before the show aired? You know what I mean? Like if they're not used to having,
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know
like
you-
to
yeah.
let.
No, but it
producers
was
are-
just kind of,
Oh. Where now anything
Now
that they
it's-
say,
yeah.
I mean, it's still funny, but it's so tame
right.
to our standards now.
yes.
Like it wouldn't be. What kills me? Oh, go ahead.
But you look at like some of these old shows, even with I Love Lucy and some others, where you knew the writers and the actors are way smarter than the network censors, so they knew how to
Oh,
do the innuendo to get around
around it.
something.
Oh, sure.
And so that was always, you know, now when you watch some of these old shows and you're like, oh, I can't believe they got away with that.
Oh,
and it was like,
sure.
well, back then the censor didn't know
right.
Right.
what was going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They're just worried about Elvis jiving his
Yeah.
hips,
Yes.
making sure the camera was above his waist. You know, it's just so funny. You think of stuff like that, and it's
right.
like really, and like
And
the
look
stuff
at what they show now.
Yeah.
Well, because, you know, back up until about the 90s, you couldn't say the word pregnant on TV.
Oh.
And I think the story is that on I Love Lucy, when she was going to tell Ricky that she's pregnant, she told it to him in French. So then it got around the censor.
Oh.
So I wonder, because our next episode, we are going to be talking about we're kind of talking about very special episodes.
Mhm.
We're going to talk about a after school special and one, I guess one film in particular, one TV
One
film,
show.
one show in particular, and it is about babies. I do think that they say pregnant on it, but I bet it was a big thing because it was an after school special about this girl that
Thought
might
she was
be pregnant. Yeah. So I wonder how, and because they did a lot of those after school specials where it was things that, you know, for kids
right.
to learn. So maybe they could get away with it a little bit, because this was like an early 80s.
80s, yeah. 83, I think.
I think
maybe? I
so.
don't know.
I think so. But it's just
Yeah.
funny what now that they pretty much
Say
have
anything.
anything. Yeah. Like you're kind of shocked if things aren't happening.
Right.
Like, oh, that was very, very
Yeah.
tame.
Yes.
Well, Kirk, was there anything else that you did you think of anything that we would say wrong, or
No, not on this
or was there
episode.
not on this episode?
Do you remember anything else
Yeah.
that was crazy around that time?
Yeah, very special
Mm.
episodes. Kids would be like, "What?" Like if we said, "Well, it's a very, you know," or after the
After,
the after school special, like that we had to learn. That's how we learned about certain things, because of the after school special.
Right.
I think, because you know how sometimes they show, like, you know, these older shows. It's like or you can find them on YouTube. I really want to just look and watch these very special episodes of these
Just
certain.
to see what. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like maybe Blossom had one.
Oh, she might have.
I feel like there was maybe one on that one.
Maybe.
I don't remember why. I don't know why I think that. But every time you were saying a very special episode, I would kept thinking of a very Brady Christmas.
Well, that's a good one
Well, this was a very special
Episode.
episode. Thanks, Kirk,
Yeah,
for
thanks, Kirk.
coming on.
Yep.
You'll have
Thank
to
you for
Come
inviting me.
back.
Yeah, you'll have to
Yeah.
come back. You'll have to think of other,
Things that we don't remember.
yeah, maybe jot things down when we
Yeah. When we screw up.
screw up, yeah. Or if it makes you think of like, oh, I could talk about that. They don't know because they're
Right. Because we were younger.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and if you did, please take a little time to share with your friends. We would love to have more listeners, and also go ahead and follow us over on our Facebook page and our Instagram page. And if you didn't know, we are now on YouTube. Next week, we will be coming at you with another This Week in Gen X History.